Hey guys, and welcome to East Coast Brewing. Now, I know it's been a long time since I shot a video and posted anything, but hey, it's because I was busy. It was summertime. I'll be honest with you guys, I don't actually generally brew a lot of beer during the summertime. Most times it's during the fall and winter. So it is now fall, so it's time to get the brewery back up and running. So what are we doing tonight? Well, first of all, as you can see, the lighting in here still sucks. I promise you I'm going to try and get the better lighting sometime this fall, but whatever, man. We're going to brew some beer and stuff, right? So what are we doing tonight, man? We are going to brew a Mr. Beer kit that I've never done before, and we're going to brew it pretty much straight up. Pretty much, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to be doing the Mr. Beer American Ale. I got this kit, purchased it off Amazon. Amazon's got sometimes the prices on Amazon are kind of shitty, so you got to watch what you're doing. Bed Bath & Beyond, I don't know if that's in the US or just Canadian. So it's in Canada, but they got some really good prices too if you're looking for Mr. Beer kits in Canada, okay? So a really cool thing about Mr. Beer kits, every single kit comes with a no-rinse cleanser that you can rinse out your keg with as well as your bottles, okay? Very cool. All right, enough of that. All right, so yes, the American Ale. Never done this one before, so we'll see what we get. Like I said, we're going to brew it pretty much straight up. The only thing I'm going to add is I'm going to go 500 grams of dextrose. Just dextrose, and the only thing that's going to do is it's going to boost the alcohol content. We're not going to adjust the flavor really at all. It might add a little more sweetness to it, and that's about it, okay? So anyway, so the American Ale, what does it say about this? The American series presents America's favorite beer styles, first introduced in the late 18th century and still enjoyed throughout the U.S. today. The American Ale, rich amber color, lightly toasty malts, character with a citrusy aroma and crisp bitterness. Sounds freaking delicious to me. All right, so we're going to brew that up tonight. But before we do, get this. So I ran out of homebrew a long time ago. But I was digging around in the back. I was actually cleaning out my fridge down here in the mini brewery because I keep other stuff in there too. And I found one Lonely Soldier in the back. Now, I have no idea what this one is. Well, I kind of do know what it is. It's either one of two things. It's either that double IPA that we actually brewed, or it's the American Lager. So, let's take it for a spin. See what happens before we get started, of course. Because you can't brew beer without a home brew, right? Got the good old mason jar ready to go. Now it's funny, I've actually got a lot of people asking me about the mason jar. What's the deal with that? And like a lot of people think because I'm Canadian, oh, it's just a redneck Canadian thing. Well, no, not at all. Here's the thing, these bottles that I use, wow, this has got a lot of carbonation in it, man. Okay. That's insane. We're gonna let that settle down. I don't know, maybe it was in the back of the fridge for too long, I don't know. The reason I use the mason jar is because these bottles, they won't fit in like a regular pint glass. So even some of the larger glasses that are larger than a pint still doesn't fit. So I just use the mason jar. And I started doing that, and then it just that's just what I do. All right, well, I'm going to let that settle down, then I'm going to drink some of it. But so what are we going to do first? First thing we're going to do is we're going to boil up 4 cups of water, and then I'm going to bring it down to the brewery here, and we'll start mixing stuff up. So we'll see you right now. All right, guys, what we did is I took that no-rinse cleanser, I sanitized my Mr. Beer keg, all my utensils, and then I boiled up 4 cups of water, and that's what we have right here. Now, this has finally settled down, and I'll tell you what, this actually ended up being the American Lager. Now this is aged for, oh man, it's got to be at least 3 months. And you know what? It is phenomenal. You know what? If you can let your beer age a little while, it does get better, honestly. More carbonation. That one had a little bit too much carbonation, to be honest with you. But flavor is fantastic. Anyway, let's get started with this. So first thing we're going to do, we're going to put in our dextrose corn sugar. So let's get rid of this guy. We'll put it down here. Can't see me. Yeah, now you can. Right on. So pretty simple stuff. Dextrose corn sugar, we have, actually I said I was going to put in 500, it's 450, okay? This stuff dissolves real easily, so we're just going to throw that right on in there. Get that out of the way. Take our sanitized spoon, just stir it up. Super simple. Super simple. Make sure it's all good and dissolved. This stuff dissolves really, really well, by the way. Yeah. All right. Looking pretty good here. You guys don't need to see what's in the pot. I mean, it's dextrose. It's no big deal. Yeah, this lighting's terrible. I know. Like, look. It's like my face is so dark. What do you do? Not much I can do about that right now. I will eventually figure something out. Okay, next thing we're going to do is we are going to put in our American Ale. Pre-hopped malt extract. Alright, so what I did is I actually soaked this can in hot water in the sink to just loosen it up a bit. Just get rid of that paper there. Away she goes. Alright, now if you guys have watched the videos before, you guys know exactly what I do now. I generally don't take a taste test, but I will. What I do next is I boil up some water in a kettle, and man, this mini brewery is really small. I boiled up some water in a kettle, and I'm going to pour it in the can to get the rest of the extract out of there, because it's pretty thick and there's a lot actually left over. Can't see me. Alright, now you can. So yeah, I got the kettle, boiled some water. There we go. Pour it in. Pretty straightforward. If you've watched my videos before, you know I don't deviate from some of my habits, right? Maybe I will. Then I just kind of stir it. Get all the rest of that loosened up. Pretty easy stuff. Now, I always use oven mitts to do this because I don't feel like burning myself or pouring it all over the place. There we go. Look at that. Just about pretty much got most of it. I mean, there's not much left in there. Whew. This is hard work. All right. Now we're just going to mix it all up. So we got our dextrose corn sugar. Sorry, yeah, the camera angle is kind of bad. We got our dextrose corn sugar, our pre-hopped malt extract, American Ale. That's it. That's all we're putting in here today. So I'm going to stir this up, and you want to make sure that it's really, really well stirred. So I'm not going to film the whole stirring process because that takes a little while and that's boring. So I'm going to stir this all up, and the next thing we're going to do, we're going to fill our Mr. Beer keg to the 1 gallon mark with really, really, really cold water. If you don't have really good tap water, use a bottled water. Pardon me, just make sure it's really cold, okay? And then we'll be back to show you the next part. Okay, we got everything stirred up and ready to go. We got the Mr. Beer keg filled up with 1 gallon of really cold water. Now, you'll see I have this thermometer on here. It's kind of nice to have that. They don't come with that, but I bought it at a brew store, so you know what? Go to your local brew store or online and order one. They just stick on the outside. super, super handy so you can actually tell, you know, if your beer is fermenting in the right temperature, as well as, you know, if it's at the right temperature to pitch your yeast. Okay. So next thing we're going to do is we're just going to pour our mixture into here. As you guys can see, I'm using my handy dandy red pot, which actually helps, because the hole in the Mr. Beer Keg, that's one thing that kind of drives me nuts. It's pretty small, but this seems to pour without too much of a mess. So there we go. Next thing, top up your Mr. Beer Keg to the 2-gallon mark with ice cold water, and then stir it up. So I'll go get some ice cold water, we'll pour it in, we'll be ready to go. Okay, let's top it up. Got our cold water. Take a quick look here, see if it's at the 2-gallon mark. Nice thing about the Mr. Beer Kegs, they got the markers on the back. Looks like she could use just a little bit more. Perfect. Alright, now we're just going to make sure we stir it up really good. Take a look at our temperature, look at that. It's a little bit high right now, it's at around 75. Usually I like to pitch my yeast between 68 and 74, 68, 74-ish. So I mean, that's not going to be a big deal. As I stir this, it'll cool down. Okay. That's probably good. Now, before we pitch our yeast, we have to do two things. One, have some home brew. And number two, take a hydrometer reading so we can figure out what our starting gravity is going to be, so we can figure out what our alcohol content is going to be. Just enough to float the hydrometer. We'll let that settle down, the bubbles in there. So what I'll do is I'll take a reading. I'll either let you guys know during the bottling or the tasting, one of the two. So in this video, yeah, we're going to do the brewing, bottling, tasting, figure out what the alcohol content is, and see what this American ale actually tastes like. All right? So it looks like we're dropping slowly down to, we're still sitting around the 75, but you know what? I'm going to pitch the yeast anyway. So let's go ahead and do that. Sanitized scissors, okay. All right, there we go. Now, Mr. Beer instructions, as you guys know, say to just let it float on top. I have done that. You know what? We're going to do that this time. Pretty much every video you've ever seen me do, I've always mixed it in. Because I think that starts the fermentation process quicker, but you know what? You know what we're going to do this time? We're just going to let it, we're going to follow the Mr. Beer instructions. We're going to just let it float on top and see what happens. So what do we do next? We close it up and we let it ferment. Now we have to wait. I'm going to probably check this in probably 7 days and just see where it's at. Because we put the extra dextrose in there, it might take a little bit longer to actually ferment. And so we'll you know what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a, how you know that it's done fermenting is you actually take a hydrometer reading. So in 7 days I'll take a hydrometer reading, and I'll take one the next day after that. It doesn't waste much beer. Like, that tube is like super thin. It's like not even a big deal. And if the specific gravity on the reading is the same for 2 days in a row, then you know the fermentation is done and it's ready to bottle. So after 7 days, because I don't think this is going to take much longer than 7 days, 7 to 10-ish. And you know what we'll do? We'll actually we'll bottle it up if it's ready to go. Now let's see what we started off at here. What's our starting gravity? I don't think it's going to be very high. Yeah, it's not. We are sitting at 10. Yeah, I know. It always takes a bit to figure these out. 1055. 1055. So I'm guessing this is probably going to come in around a 5. I don't know, maybe 5.5% alcohol. So pretty standard beer, you know. So okay, I will be back. Well, within a few seconds for you guys, but about 7 to 10 days for me. So, all right, cheers. We are back. It has been 14 days actually. I tested it on day 10, and it came out at, it was at about 1010 for final gravity, and so then I tested it actually yesterday, and it was at 1003. So it is done fermenting and it's time to bottle. Now, what does that mean? We started at 1055 and we ended at 1003, which actually is crazy low. I didn't realize how much this was going to ferment. It actually works out to be 6.8%. So this is going to be a pretty heavy ale. Like, it's going to be a big beer. It's going to be pretty potent. So I didn't think it was going to be that high. I mean, I guess I don't know, I didn't think I put in that much dextrose, but hey, we'll see what happens, right? We'll take it for a spin and see what happens. So I've sanitized my bottles. I've never really showed that process. Maybe I'll film that sometime. But anyways, I just use the other half of the no rinse cleanser, put it in the bottles, shake it up, you know, leave it for 10 minutes, shake it up again, and then pour it out, and we're ready to bottle. I also do the caps too. Then we take dextrose, corn sugar, to prime our bottles with, because we need something for the rest of the yeast to eat so that they produce CO2, which carbonates our beer. So what do? You take, for these size bottles, these here, it's 2 teaspoons of dextrose. So we just go 1, that, and 2. Just like that. Shake it up, make sure it's in there. And then we fill them up. Always a little bit of an angle here. I find if you put it on a little bit of an angle, you get less oxygen in your beer, so that works out pretty good. Alright, let it rip. Alright. Now, I've gone ahead and primed all the other bottles already, because I mean, you guys don't need, these videos can be long enough as it is, so we don't need to actually be, you know, making them any longer. We just go ahead and just keep on filling up. We got, what do we have here? It's 11 bottles is what this will do, which is basically 2 beer in a bottle. Then you know what I do? You've probably seen me do this before if you watched the channel before. I just squeeze as much of the air out as I can, these bottles. Then I just go ahead, cap it up, give it a little invert, shake up that priming sugar in there. And now we just have to wait for it to condition and carbonate. Usually takes, well, it depends on the beer, you know, it depends. I've had some carbonate after 5 days, some 7 to 10, some 2 weeks. So, you know what, I'll give these bottles a squeeze, and if the bottles are really, really firm, usually that's a good indication that it is ready to try. But as always, the flavor gets better if you let it condition even longer. So we'll be back to, I'm going to go ahead and just keep refilling these. You guys don't need to see that. So we'll be back when it's time to test it, and we'll see where it happens. 6.8%. Woo! It's going to be strong. All right. See you in a bit. All right, guys. It's been 2 weeks since we bottled this Mr. Beer American Ale, and now it's time to try it. At least I think it's time to try it. I felt the bottles feeling really firm, so I thought, you know what, I'm going to throw one in the fridge. So I did that last night, and we're going to take it for a spin and see what happens today. But before we do, I just wanted to talk to you guys a little bit about something we're going to be doing in the next few months here over the winter. As you know, if you've been watching the channel, a lot of my brews have been straight up extract beers. And you're probably wondering, hey, why don't I do any, all grain or partial extract? If you don't know what partial extract is, that's where it's partially grains and partially the extract that we've been doing on the channel. Now, there's a couple of reasons. One, it's a lot more work, and it takes a lot more time. So instead of doing one whole video, I'd probably have to do it in parts. Or I guess what I could do is I could probably, edit it really good so that, only the really stuff that matters is in the video. So anyways, I wanted to let you know that over the next months, we are going to be doing some all grain, we're going to be doing partial extract, and it's going to be awesome. Now, if you've never done all grain or you've never done a partial extract, I'm going to show you some of the ways to do that, but I'll tell you one thing. The beer is superb. It is really awesome. It is really good, like way better than anything that you buy, like a commercial beer or whatever. Anyway, so we're going to be doing that. And I'm still on the goal of doing all of the Mr. Beer flavors so that, well, it's just a goal. I'm just going to do them up. Anyway, that's enough of that. So keep an eye out for some of those. The next few videos after this one, if you're watching this right when it first comes out, are going to be still some extract beers because I got a few of them kind of on the go right now. But yeah, keep an eye out for that. Anyway, let's take this for a spin. Now, this is going to, obviously, it's going to taste better in, the next coming weeks. But let's give it a spin. Well, a little bit of carbonation. You know what? It might not have very much carbonation. We'll see. It might need a little bit longer. Got the good old mason jar, as usual. Let's give it a pour. A little bit of carbonation in there. I don't know how much it's going to be, but we'll see. Right on. All right. Wow, it's looking really good. Look at that color. That's beautiful. And you know what? For the first time, it actually looks like the exact color that's on the Mr. Beer packaging. That is nice. Nice golden, dark golden color. A little bit of head on there. That's not bad. It's actually sticking around too. It's got a little bit of citrusy hop aroma. That's all I'm really getting off of it. A little bit of hop, citrusy hop aroma. Yeah. So I'm not a professional beer taster, know all that stuff. Maybe I'll read up on that. Let's take it for a spin. That's pretty good. Carbonation is actually pretty decent. You can see not much head retention, but that's to be expected. It's a straight up kit with dextrose and some dry malt extract. It's a little bit toasted-ish. I'm getting a little bit of bittering hop taste at the end, which is good. It's really good. And yeah, up front it's kind of citrusy, toasty, which is really weird, but that's a freaking good ale. That's really good. You know what else I'm getting, especially on the back end, is that 6.8% alcohol. You can definitely taste it. I mean, it's not overpowering like, oh man, it's more boozy than it is beer, but you can definitely tell that there's alcohol in there, and a significant amount. So I'll probably have a little bit of a buzz on after this mason jar full. For those of you who don't know, the reason I use this mason jar is because most of the glasses I have are pint and a half glasses, and they don't take a full Mr. Beer, or these are 740 or 750 milliliters. But anyways, so I find when you pour it out into a pint glass, there's about like this much left, and when you swig it back into the bottle, the sediment from the bottle starts to stir up into the beer. Not that sediment's really a bad thing for you, but I do like having my beer, you know, the clarity, you know, just a crisp, clean beer. So I just poured it in a mason. I started doing that a while back. I was like, pour it in a mason jar, and then it just kind of stuck with it. So good old mason jar. Anyways, that there is the Mr. Beer American Ale, and you know what? It is really good. I suggest it to anybody who likes ales. It's a really good one. It's got lots of flavor in it, and yeah, that's all I really have to say about that. Hey, if you guys don't mind, please like, you know, comment, and really, I need you guys to subscribe, because I really would like to monetize this channel. And right now, as a time of this, I only have like 228 subscribers. It's like, come on, you guys. If you like beer, help me out. It doesn't take much to subscribe. It's not like you have to watch the video if it comes up in your feed on YouTube, okay? But, I mean, I would like it if you did. But anyways, subscribe, tell your friends. And you know what? We got an American Porter going on right now, so that's going to be interesting. All right, thanks for watching. Take care. Happy brewing. Cheers.